I believe there will be a movie made with completely AI actors
yeah.
that will have emotion. I still believe that there's going to be people behind it that know how to make that happen. There'll probably even be actors who are helping make sure that, working with directors about how the emotion should happen. But there's going to be weird things happening that we've never seen before. There's no question.
Welcome to Innovate or Evaporate, the podcast where we explore the relentless pace of change and the innovators who drive it. Each episode, we dive deep into the world of cutting-edge ideas, breakthrough technologies, and the fearless pioneers who are pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Today's guest is Gregg Fienberg, Emmy-winning executive producer and director behind hits like Deadwood, True Blood, Twin Peaks, and Big Little Lies. Gregg spent a lifetime solving impossible creative problems under impossible timelines. We talk about crews as families, creativity under pressure, and why the future of film may depend on smart tax policy, real human connection, and fewer egos. If you're curious how the entertainment industry really works, stay tuned, because it's Innovate or Evaporate.
Welcome back to Innovate or Evaporate, where we explore the relentless pace of change and the innovators who drive it. I'm Toph Day, your host, and today we have Gregg Fienberg, Emmy-winning executive producer and director, whose career is defined by successfully bringing challenging, boundary-pushing creative visions to life, from the iconic streets of Deadwood to the dark nights of True Blood, and currently season 3 of Big Little Lies for HBO. Gregg is the ultimate logistics innovator who knows how to make the impossible happen on a television schedule and budget. Gregg, welcome to the show.
Great to be here, Toph. Thank you.
I'm so fired up for our conversation today. I'm on this whole learning journey with the creative economy. I find film, production, music, like all these things, arts, so impressive. And I think for maybe many decades, people didn't think of themselves as entrepreneurs. And now I'm thinking about investing and all the opportunities that are emerging. So we're going to go through down a whole journey today.
Okay.
But I want to back up to when you were, you're still a young man.
Well, that's
when you were a
debatable.
couple of years younger.
That's debatable, but yeah.
You weren't going to go into film originally.
Is
that
not,
right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about, like, in college, like, what was your vision like? What was your major? And what were you think you were going to do the rest of your life?
My major was economics. I was at UCLA. I thought I was going to go into finance, but I was sort of starting to focus on accounting, believe it or not. My father was a CPA, and I thought I was really good with numbers. So I thought I was going to become an accountant.
So then, what'd you do when you first got out of school?
When I first got out of school, I went into the film business.
You went straight in?
What actually happened was I had taken a year off between my junior and senior year, I think, at UCLA, and I produced a film for a friend of mine at AFI who needed a producer, and I had done a small thing with him, and he's like, "Can you do it?" And my parents said, "If you want to take a year off, go ahead, but you got to finish school," which I did. So I did this thing at AFI, then went back to school and finished school. And I had an appointment with a Big 8 accounting firm, Pete Marwick it was called. I think it's part of KPMG now.
Yes, you're right.
But at the time it was Pete Marwick. And UCLA Business School had set up a meeting for me with them. And this was like right as I'm graduating. And I was supposed to go do that meeting. And the night before, I got a call from somebody I'd met at AFI like 6 or 8 months earlier. And he's like, "Oh, I got a job on a Roger Corman film. It's 2 days. I need you to," and this is like 10 o'clock at night. And I have my meeting the next day, and I'm like, "Well, I can't do it." He goes, the guy starts crying. He's like, I can't find anybody. I need somebody to do it. And I'm, of course, a softie. So I said, "Okay, look, I'll postpone my meeting at Pete Marwick. I'm sure I can get another date. I'll come and work for you for 2 days." I have not stopped working. Well, I stopped working about 6 months ago, but before that, I didn't stop working since that day. So I literally went into the film business right out of school.
So what was that morning like? So you never really thought about this. Friend calls up, right? This is where I love to go back to relationships.
Yeah.
Relationships are so powerful.
Everything.
Never thought about doing this. You show up on set?
I showed up in the production office first. Yeah.
Production office?
Yeah.
What were you thinking?
I was thinking, what am I doing? I was kind of and nervous because I didn't feel, even when I was doing the AFI stuff and then especially here, I was like, well, this isn't where I belong. I'm not an artist. I'm not a creative person. I don't belong in the film business. Even though I grew up on a street with my best friend's parents produced Hawaii Five-0 and the Waltons, and I knew around the business, but I just felt like I'm an outsider. I don't belong, but I'm just going to do my thing
Yeah.
and see what happens. And I loved it when I was doing the film work at AFI and all that. I caught a bug, but I somehow didn't know it for myself. I didn't quite understand it.
Yeah.
That how much I was really loved it, and I felt like I really should go for here. I'm an outsider to this group. It turns out I wasn't.
Was there in that first, if you can think back to that first 6 months or a year
Mm-hmm.
in the business, was there a moment where you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, and if I get discovered, if I don't do this thing right, or if I get discovered, I'm gonna have to go start back over and go back into accounting?
I don't think so, actually, because I just had a really good run out of the gate.
Yeah.
I was on that film for 2 days. On the second day, I walked into the production manager's office, who was my boss, and she was literally crying. And so people cried all over the show, I guess. She was literally crying, like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And she's like, and she had a pile of papers on her desk. She's like, "I'm just so overwhelmed." And I'm 24 at the time. She might have been 25, maybe. We're all doing this stuff. Like, it was probably her first time, and she was overwhelmed. She couldn't get herself organized. And I was a really good organizer. So I said, "You want me to organize your notebook for you?" And I'm like this little, I don't know what I'm doing, but I knew I could organize a
Right.
notebook. And I did such a good job for her. She was blown away. I
Yep.
figured it all out, gave it back to her, and she was like, she goes, "We just fired the location manager. Want to stay on the movie and keep working?" So I was only supposed to be there 2 days. Stayed on the movie the rest of the time. And then she recommended me to my next job, which was a job with the Grammys, doing the Grammys of all things, because she knew somebody on the Grammys. And I went and was the coffee boy there. Just kept going.
I love that story.
Got lucky.
Sometimes in life, I think sometimes we overcomplicate things.
Yeah.
And when I was soon out of college, like 2 or 3 years, used to be this thing called TQM, Total Quality Management,
Mm-hmm.
and it was what's the ninja one? Like the Six Sigma. I don't know if you ever heard of that, but they're these corporate best practices things.
Right. Those are always overcomplicated.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was sitting in my office one morning, and the instructor came in and handed me a stack of papers just real quick and walked out and said, "Hey, can you make copies of these real quick to people?" I'm like, "Sure." There's like 20 people in the class or whatever. And so I go to the copy machine, I make those copies. I'm like, well, I should collate these so they're easy to hand out. And then I'm looking at this stack of collated paper, and I'm like, well, what are people going to do with this stuff? Because we were working out of 3-ring binders. And so I went ahead and 3-hole punched each packet. Walked into the train, I handed it to them. Found out later that day that was a test. So are you thinking ahead? Are you anticipating other people's needs?
Interesting.
And so I love your story where, like, hey, can I help?
Yeah.
It's not in the job description, quote unquote. But when we help others make their lives easier, add value, how quickly that can turn into things.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. So
that's
you're
fascinating. That was a test. That's
right. Good thing I passed it.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. I wonder if this was a test for me. I don't know. Maybe it was.
Right.
I never realized it.
So pace. So what you do is extremely fast paced.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to go through some stories and kind of equate those, maybe draw parallels with entrepreneurship, right? Because it's almost, it seems like to me, from an outsider looking in the film industry, you have to be entrepreneurial every day.
I would say that's true. Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about what are some of the unexpected things that would happen on a set or in whatever environment, whether it was the tour with you two or some of the things you produced.
Man.
What are some of those ways that you had to adapt on the fly?
Well, I mean, the one that comes to mind the most is this. I was doing a show 5 years ago or so called I Know This Much Is True with Mark Ruffalo, and Derek Cianfrance was the director. And we had a car dealership that we were filming in. We filmed in it for three days. That was the schedule. We filmed the first 2 days, all these interiors and exteriors, and it was a 50s, beautiful, it was upstate New York, beautiful 50s old Chevrolet dealer, gorgeous building. We're shooting it for the 60s. So we had all these beautiful cars in it that we had put in and shoot the first 2 nights. We leave all of our equipment in the building because we're coming back the third day to shoot. At midnight, after the second night, I get a call from my production manager. "Greg, we got a little problem at the location." "What's that?" "We might have a little fire."
Uh-oh.
I go, "A little fire?" I go, "Are they going to be able to get it out? What's going on?" He's like, "I think I'm going to come pick you up. Get dressed. We got to go to the location." I'm like, "It's not a little fire." He goes, "I don't think so."
Oh my gosh.
We arrive on location. I could show you the picture, but it's the entire building is engulfed in flames. When we arrived, it's 45 minutes from our hotel to the location. Gone. So there's an example. We suddenly had no equipment. Our equipment was all up in flames. We have nothing, and we need to keep shooting. So we had to figure out a way, like, within the beautiful thing, and I always say, like, what does a producer do? I say I hire the best people I can and then get out of the way. And the production manager, the gentleman who picked me up, Marshall, was, while I'm watching the building burning, he's on the phone ordering. We were using very specialized cameras. There was only 6 in the world. 2 of them were burning in the fire. 2 of them were in use somewhere else, and there were 2 in Germany. And he was getting them put on a plane to be sent to
He'd already started.
New York. He was literally on the phone. I was over there. He was on the phone. I looked over. He's on the phone. I was like, "Who are you talking to?" He's like, "I was ordering new cameras." And we were up and running and shooting 2 days later.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was I mean, that's just one example, but there's
Right.
just there's I mean, every day on a set, there's something new
I mean,
that comes up.
right. So I don't know how much that production was cost per day, right?
300 grand.
300 grand per day.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, time is of the essence
Every minute.
every minute.
Yeah. There's a reason film crews are really good crews are so savvy, because as you're working as a team, if anybody screws up and forgets something or their element doesn't work and it slows you down, they know how much it costs. And the good people things go wrong, but everyone's there to address it, but it's usually not someone's fault. And if it is, then everyone covers for them and we get it done.
Yeah.
Because it's so expensive.
Yeah.
On
Band
an
together,
hourly
team effort.
basis. Massive.
Everything is everybody's job.
Everything is everybody's job, and everybody has to work together. And the great teams, if we put together a great team, everybody has each other's back. It's a really wonderful. It's part of what makes it so fun. And when you hear people on the Emmys say, "Oh, we're a family," there's a reason we become a family. It's part of it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How does that correlate to? Well, before I ask that question, I want to talk about raising funds for these productions. But how hard is it to make every industry small? It doesn't matter what the industry is; it's quote unquote small.
That's right.
Maybe it's bigger or smaller in the small group,
Yeah.
but they're all 1 degree or 2.
Everybody knows each other.
Everybody
right?
knows
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah.
How hard is it to keep that core nucleus from production to production? Like, in the chances of, if your next production is going to start in 3 months, but there's another one starting in a month, they go to that one, and you don't get the same crew you prefer for a year.
Yeah, I mean, that's always a challenge. Every time I start a new project, I have my favorite crews, but it depends on who the director is and all that. There are all kinds of elements, but even year to year, when we did True Blood for 6 years in a row, the good thing was that the crew wanted to come back. People couldn't wait to come back, so they would plan for it. But, every now and then you would lose somebody, and you have to, find somebody else to come and fit in the family. So it's a hard thing in this business, because people are constantly on the move and constantly on their next job, and they overlap. So you also have the issue of, you're finishing a show and somebody's got their next show and they need to leave, and you got to try to work that out with people.
If you have some kind of production delay and
all
you
that
need them for
kind
an
of
extra
stuff.
few days or a week.
Yeah.
So when it comes to raising capital, you've done a lot of different types of productions, from concerts to films to all sorts of things. What are some of those differences? Like when you're in the concert industry and you're working on a year-long, what's the word I'm looking for? Show, tour.
Yeah.
Thank you. So let's say it's a year-long tour, a 9-month tour, versus you're producing a film that's going to take 6 months. What are some of those differences, in planning for that project, and how do you deal with those?
In funding or planning?
Let's hit funding, and then let's hit planning.
Yeah, so I've been pretty lucky in most of the shows that I've been on, for the U2 film, for instance. U2 funded that, and then Paramount came in and bought the movie, but U2 self-funded that project.
Oh, that's amazing.
So we came in and, U2 was footing the bill. Now, mind you, they were the #1 band in the world, and half of one concert probably funded the whole darn thing. But still, it was funded. Twin Peaks, we had independent funding that was in place. So, but the funding, there was a company it was licensed by ABC, and there was a company that was filling in the gap, and that pre-existed. HBO is fully funded. So the last 26 years, everything I've done, we have the money. So I talk a lot about films are similar to startups, except the big difference is we kind of already have the money, which obviously for startups, the money is usually the hardest thing.
Right.
But everything else about it's so similar because I've done both, and they're just very similar. Planning is just that. I also have a saying: a shoot day is a shoot day. Doesn't matter what you're doing. Like every shoot day, there's kind of the same elements, it, essential elements. Then there's always the unique things, and then you figure it out as you go along. If it's music, you have to figure out how you're going to sync the music to the film and all that kind of stuff. But it's all similar, but you just have to address it based on the different production.
We were talking earlier today on that U2 tour where there were three stages in essence, and so
Yeah.
everybody's out building in advance in the next
Truckloads full of three different
truckload
versions of the same stage in three different trucks.
in three
Yeah.
different trucks.
Yeah.
And I've thought about that many times watching at a concert, and you just look around at the breadth
Yeah.
of the nuts and the bolts and the washers and the cords and the
Yeah.
plugs and the everything, the rigging.
Fascinating.
It's
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah.
And so there are entire specialized teams, right? You think about
Mm-hmm.
logistics, right? If there's vegetables being harvested in California or Mexico or wherever, somewhere in the world, and the logistics of getting that from point A to point
Yeah.
B, what are some of the things you saw over the evolution of your career in terms of how people manage logistics? How did technology,
Mhm.
any parallels there with how you did things manually in the old
Ye
days versus not manually
Yeah, I mean,
today?
I think the two biggest differences I've noticed or we've experienced is the cameras have completely changed. You know, you can literally use an iPhone today to make a movie.
Yeah.
Like, no question, you can make a movie. They can air on around the world. Back when I started, it was film cameras only, and the transfer to video, there was European versions and American versions, and it was just film. That's all we had. We didn't have the option. Now you have the option, and in a way, film is almost going to become obsolete altogether. I'm not sure that the film, Kodak's even going to last. And there's
Right.
talk of them going out of business.
Speaking of which, we have a
Yes.
Kodak camera here on set. After we're done today, we're
Yeah.
going to take a Kodak picture, old
Yeah?
school style.
Oh, let's do it. Yeah. You just got to figure out. I know who can develop it. I actually have a friend who can develop that stuff for you.
I love it.
But and then the lighting is completely different than it used to be. Used to be big, incandescent lights that, were heavy and they'd hang and they were hot. Sets would get boiling hot. Now we sit here with the LEDs that we have, and that's what's being used almost exclusively on sets. They take up hardly any energy. They're quiet. They don't make any noise. They don't burn out usually, and they no heat. And you can adjust the color very easily. And so now everything used to be, very manual. From that point of view, you have the light here and adjust it. Now they're usually on there's somebody in a booth in the back that's turning them on and off and changing the color thing. You change it a little bit. That's kind of
Run it from a laptop.
run from a laptop in it's called the dimmer board op, and he's back there and just adjusting everything.
Yeah.
So it makes things quicker, which is great. Yeah.
We had a young man named Ashton Gleckman. He
Mhm.
actually lives here in Carmel, and he came to Raleigh and just showed some of the things, the work he's doing. He's 25 years old now, or 25 years old now, but he dropped out of high school to pursue his passion, and he's already. I hope it's okay I say this, but he's already produced a documentary and
Mm.
sold it to History Channel. I'll just say for into the seven figures. Just a fascinating, talented young man.
Wow.
And so I went over to his studio one day and I was watching him with his keyboard and the software he has all set
Mhm.
up and how he would lay down the tracks,
Mhm.
for the documentaries he works on, et cetera.
Yeah.
And he's 240 layers deep
Yeah.
with tracks and how grass with wind blowing, et cetera.
Yeah. Well, post-production definitely has completely evolved.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, to where it's like, again, we used to work with film manually on these machines called chems and moviolas. And now, again, you could even do that in your phone if you really wanted to. But what he's doing, yeah, it's all on a computer with one guy in a room, and it's fascinating.
How's that changed? So when you hire a crew
Mhm.
today, did you used to hire a crew for, it's 100 people and today it's 75 or 50? Or is it still, there's other
Yeah,
jobs that had
it-
evolved for these folks?
I haven't found that the crew size has changed very much, believe it or not. I mean, you would think that I mean,
Hmm.
you can do it differently, but even with the lighting, you still maybe we're one guy different than we used to. Used to be 6 on a crew, now there's 5 on a crew, maybe. But other than that, it's not always that way because you're still putting lights up, you're still doing things, and you still need people to move everything around and do it.
Yeah.
And almost every other department, the camera department still has the same number of people. They just do different things than they used to. You know, the film loader's not loading film, they're loading cards, you know, that kind of stuff, and
Right.
managing the cards and the data versus unloading the film and putting it, getting it ready to send to the lab, that kind of stuff. So it's just, you know, even the sound department, all their equipment's different now. It's all digital, but you still have the guy holding the mics. And so fortunately, most jobs are still pretty secure from the actual making point of view.
So how do folks learn to all this new technology? Is it you just get in and start and you're an apprentice, or you're working with someone who's already learned it and they're training you up? Or
Yeah.
these software companies coming in and spending 40 hours of training? Like, how do people learn how to use all this new technology?
It's a really good question. I think, you know, my experience has been that new gear will come out and some people will try it and then it'll start to catch on and then everybody will go and try to figure it out. But I think I'm not, you know, the post production may be a little different, but the onset technology, I don't think it's that difficult.
Yeah.
It's a light and a controller that controls it, you know, and so I'm not sure. It's just how they use it and the different ways it can be used. And film crews are very crafty.
Yeah.
They'll figure anything out. So I think something new
MacGyver.
comes out.
They
Yeah,
have
I
to.
mean, they're all like every one of them is a MacGyver, which I have so much respect for the crews.
Yeah.
They are incredibly smart people. I mean, I think we're all from the producers on down, we're all misfits. We could be in no other business but the business we're in. But they are really brilliant people and they'll figure anything out. So something new comes along, it's like everyone will run over in a corner. What is this thing? You know, like that light I'm seeing next to you. And it's like, what is that thing? Like, how's it work? And next thing you know, they'll have it like taken out of its casing and they'll have it stuck up inside a car and on a dimmer board and the camera car behind it. And they're making it work for something it was never intended for. And it's just fun to watch. So I think they figure it out.
So let's talk about structure of what is of one set, because I have some questions that aren't quite straight
Mhm.
in my mind when I watch like the credits, etc.
All those credits.
So, but structure and then business model. We
Mhm.
were talking a little bit about that over lunch today,
Mhm.
which I find fascinating. Structure. So, in a typical company, you've got a COO and some other C levels, ops or
Mhm.
sales or finance, whatever it is, and then you go down to some VPs or managers and etc. So we see these titles of like executive producer, director, and maybe it changes from different types of productions to one
Yeah.
another. But like in general, how does that reporting structure work and kind of who's responsible for what?
Yeah. Well, I think on almost every set, film and TV in general, like other than the producers, that there's a whole category of different, there's all kinds of different crazy producer things, you know, producer credits. From the director on down, it's very similar across the board. Producers are the bosses, ultimately, of the overall show. The director is the visionary, the creative visionary, along with the script writer who's everything starts with a blank page and a screenwriter who writes the script. Then that's usually handed over to director. Sometimes it's the same person, writer, director. They're the creative visionary and they make the show. But the producers are where you start to get, you have executive producers, line producers, producers, co-producers, associate producers, co-executive producers. There's all these crazy titles. So
An executive means funding. Is that right or
it's
wrong
in movies,
in movies?
usually executive producers are either funders, sometimes they're managers, they manage the director, they manage the talent. They've gotten involved in the project and they're not really making the movie. They're involved in the movie in some upper level way
Hmm.
and they get the executive producer title. But people who really fund the movie are very often, if they're independent, they'll be an executive producer.
Okay.
Then you have the producer level, who are the people who are actually making the movie. With the buck stops with them, they have to manage the budget buck will stop with them. Like for me, I'm like on the TV shows, I'm the non-writing executive producer. everything stops with me, other than the creative is driven by the director and the writing showrunner. And then I assist them to make sure that that vision happens.
Okay.
So on a TV show, if you have me, all I really need is a director and maybe a writing showrunner if that show has that type of person. But sometimes that person will step away and let the director take over. On certain shows, that's happened. That's all we really need producer-wise. And then I need my team, which would be the line producer and the production manager. And they'll, like, the three of us and then the people under them will kind of run the production from a supervisory point of view.
Yep.
Like the nuts and bolts of it. And then we just make sure the vision of the director comes to life.
So this just hit me. I think it's fascinating. So a lot of startup companies, people change, but you might have a core team that's together for 5 years plus, right? But you have different teams, actors, actresses are different, etc. You have a different team multiple times a year. I'm supposing.
Yeah, depending on how long. Some of the shows take a year and a half to do, but yeah, multiple times within a few years for sure.
So
or if sometimes we're doing 2 shows at the same time.
So you're managing many different personalities.
Oh yeah.
Right. I mean, it's not just a P&L, but you're you're trying to figure out how to manage personalities.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you've learned over the year? Are there 1 or 2 or 3 things that come to mind on what you've done to help you manage the soft side of it, the personality side,
the person side of it?
the person side of this?
Yeah. One thing I've learned personally to do is to let I've become a very good delegator. You know, I've had very good line producers work with me, and I really do when I go on a show. I really do take it seriously when I say I hire the best people and try to get out of the way.
Yeah.
You know, and I get out of the way, but then I'm there for everything they need. And there's things everybody needs every day.
Yeah.
I'm never like able to just walk away and let it happen. But it's to let people just do their job, really try to encourage them and let it go. And in the early days of my career, I tried to just do everything.
Right.
And I could do it, and I could get it done, and I could work 20 hours a day. And, but that wasn't healthy and that wasn't useful. And I've learned to let people do their thing. And then just to treat people well.
Just be a good human.
I mean, in the end, especially in our business, and I've found that the really good actors, the people who have really made it in this business and have stuck in this business almost exclusively are really good people and really treat people well. Yeah. And yes, they have their quirks, and yes, they sometimes you're like, that person's a little nutty, and that's okay. They're still actually at their core really good people.
Yeah.
And really professional.
Yeah.
It's really kind of great.
You were talking earlier about the union structure, which I thought was fascinating. Can you walk through that and then kind of tie that into the business model and how funds are managed today and the residuals that come through? And can you talk about those kind of 2 components?
Yeah. I mean, on union shows, which most shows are, there's 4 main unions: the Directors Guild, which handles the director and his staff; the Writers Guild, which handles the writers; Screen Actors Guild, which is the actors and the background extras; and then there's the IATSE, which is under the CIO, AFL-CIO,
Yep.
IATSE, International Association Alliance of Theatrical and Stage Employees. And that's all the crafts are under that. So there's several guilds or crafts under the unions, under the one big union of IATSE. That's all the people on the crew, basically.
Yep.
The actors get residuals. The director gets residuals. A few people on his staff get residuals. The writers get residuals. And there is actually a small residual fund that goes to the IATSE that goes into pensions for all the crew, too. But they don't get individual residuals, but the other people do. With streamers, and part of what the strikes were about, with the fact that residuals, the streaming came in was as we all know, a new thing. It's not as new now, but it's pretty new to the business. There was a residual structure that had been built over years and years. Then streamers came along and they got a sweetheart deal because they were like, well, there's this little streaming thing going on over here. And then all of a sudden it blew up and overtook all of us and all of our wallets, because we all pay for, a lot of us pay for 10 things. You're like, oh my God, what do we do with this? So that put a huge dent in residuals for the people who receive residuals. That's a lot of what the strike was about.
Yeah.
Was along with other things like AI and things like that, but it was to like get the residuals back up to a respectable level because now everybody's watching on streaming versus watching on network, which pays really good residuals, but no one's watching there
Yeah.
anymore. Certainly not as many people watching there anymore.
Yep.
So there's been a big shift going on, but you know.
So at the macro level,
Mhm.
I don't know how Hollywood or I don't know the background of like why did California, why did LA, why did Hollywood become this mecca,
Mhm.
of film production? So I don't know if you have some knowledge of that,
Yeah.
and then parlay that into
It's called weather.
weather.
I think that was the biggest part of it. Yeah. Great place to go and shoot and be. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
So
Year-round sun.
there's a whole that's interesting because I watched a documentary once that looks at the globe and like the ag belt that kind
Mhm.
of spans across the globe, and if you look at civilizations, countries, the ones that are closer to that ag belt
Mhm.
are more robust economies.
Yeah.
I love it. It's as simple as the weather, right? Where people
Yeah.
congregate.
I mean, if I have to go out and shoot in the rain,
Yeah.
not fun.
Right.
The scheduling acrobatics I've had to do because of rain and weather. So when you're in LA, things are changing as they are all over the world, but
Right.
in general, it's a lot of sun.
So there's been a shift recently in the last number of years where film production's moving to Europe, and there's maybe been some around the United States, but a lot of us moving to Europe. Can you talk about that at the macro level? Like, where does policymaking and their hand in these
Mhm.
industries? What are your thoughts around that?
This is a big deal, especially for Hollywood, because
Yeah.
the film business in Hollywood is being sort of decimated at the moment.
Mhm.
Even though Governor Newsom and several people in the administration have just passed a new tax credit. There was a tax credit. They made alterations to it to make it more favorable for filmmakers, and they've I think just more than doubled it to try to keep business in LA because it is just drained from LA now. After the strikes, the business has gone, I think it's something like 60% less, probably more now than it was
That's a massive number.
2 years ago. That's a massive number. I mean, I have countless people I know, associates that are on the verge of losing their house. And it's like not even a joke. And it's terrible. So, fortunately, my next show will be done in LA. People are trying to bring shows to LA, but it's expensive. And so you need tax credits to help defray the costs. New York has great tax credits. Lots of people have gone to New York. Atlanta's had tax credits for years.
Mhm.
And their tax credit is so favorable because I think it's actually, there's tax credits and then there's refunds, like just refunds. You actually get a rebate. So it's not even a tax credit. You just get 35% of your money back, something like that. I may have the number wrong now. I don't think they change it all the time. Atlanta has a good tax credit, but even there, what's happening now is the tax credits in Europe have gotten so strong. And I think during the strike, a lot of shows went to Europe to
When
film.
was the strike?
Strike was 23.
23?
I think it was 23,
Okay.
if I have it right. Yeah. And everybody thought, like, when the strike ended, oh, this work's going to come back. And, there was this sense, though, like a lot of people had gone to Europe, started filming in Europe, and it had been happening anyway, but the European tax credits are really good. And a lot of people were going there to film. And now there's really good crews all over Europe, South Africa, kind of all over the world. There's people who know how to make movies, and it's cheaper. And so people who are funding movies, if you have a $100 million project and you can do it for 60 million in Europe, and even after tax credits, it's going to cost 75 million here, that's a lot of money you're saving.
Right.
And if you're making 50 of those, you add up all those millions of dollars, you're going to go shoot in Europe. So that's what's been happening. So it really is up to the policymakers to find a way to induce investment into American movies. Tax credits are one way. I don't know about the tariff thing that Trump's talking about. I don't know how that's going to, I don't think anyone knows how to work. I'm not sure he knows how that's going to work. I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to either create a federal tax credit, not to get too deep into the weeds, but there's a part of the tax code called Section 181 that allows for a different way of depreciating investment in film when you make the investment. That's about to get extended. There's a bill in Congress I'm actually involved in making proposals for them to allow for different kinds of income to be allowed to be included in that, because right now it's only passive income, for those of you who know what passive income is. But we're trying to get that changed. But they're like, policy will bring movies back to America, I believe.
That totally makes sense. I mean, it doesn't make any sense that it should be limited to passive income.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense in a way, but the problem is that not that many people have passive income, and the people that do
Right.
are billionaires,
Yeah.
Generally, or, multimillionaires, because you have to invest in, there's only, certain types of investments that bring you passive income. And there's precedent for it because it's been done in certain types of real estate, and it's been done in the oil and gas industry. So they have had tax credits where they unlock the passive income and allow all types of income to be invested. And if you do that, then you basically allow it changes the investment structure and makes the downside risk far less. And all of a sudden people will be like, oh, all of a sudden an investment in a movie isn't just a silly, stupid investment because I want to invest in Hollywood. It becomes a smart, tangible investment. So hopefully we'll get something like
That's
that passed,
interesting.
but we'll see.
Yeah.
It's hard to get stuff passed in Congress.
We'll kind of move into maybe touch on a little bit about some of these disruptive forces with the industry and something about like AI. And when it comes to AI, we talk a lot about in other sectors, like there's no technology moat anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about distribution and data, and those apply to film.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking about, so distribution, I want to go into film festivals and streaming, those a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then from a data side, what's coming to mind is we're starting to see the AI actors and actresses.
Mm-hmm.
So
We really are now.
right.
Yeah.
So let's hit the first one, this
Mhm.
distribution concept. And we touched on it just a minute ago. But when streaming came about, I still remember like yesterday, the Netflix to your mailbox, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then now
Yeah.
look at Netflix today.
Yeah.
And so how that disrupted, and then you have these film industries. So I'm curious if you can kind of share with us, like behind the scenes, what really happens in Cannes and I think in Salt Lake, Sundance is
Yeah.
getting ready to move, I think.
I think they're moving to Boulder, if I
To
have it
Boulder?
right. I think so, yeah. They're definitely moving.
And as I understand it, like folks from Netflix show up there with a checkbook and they're looking to buy,
Mhm.
different films or documentaries. So how does that kind of work from a distribution standpoint? How has that dramatically shifted, and how do you see that? Like, are people going to still go to film festivals and with checkbooks and look to buy? Productions?
I couldn't tell you what this business is gonna look like in a couple of years. Everything just keeps changing and changing so fast. It's really remarkable, and just it's everything. Like the fact, if somebody told me 4 years ago that the number of shows being shot in LA will be down by 50, 60%, I'd go, not a chance. Here we are. But I do believe people love stories,
Yes.
and we all want to watch stories. So streaming is going to be where people watch, I think, in general, although people are starting to go back to the theaters. Not in the numbers we'd love to see, but people are going back. So, in the end, as long as people have to find a way to find the good movies that are out there, and people are still making them independently, Sundance will still exist. I think so. I don't think that's going to go away anytime relatively soon, but it may.
I think the theater thing's really interesting. So I have not been to a theater in a long time.
Mhm.
I love to sit on my couch with the big screen and
Yeah.
the lights dark and
That's what changed everything. The big
blast the thing
screen,
out.
the big HD screens.
Right.
Yeah, of course.
And I've been wanting to go to a movie with my son recently for the last 6 months. I'm like, let's go to a movie again. The folks I talk to that do go to the movie still, I think like we used to go to the movies for entertainment, probably back in let's go back however many decades, right?
Mhm.
And you kind of fast forward, like I want an experience. Like there's
Mhm.
something special about a theater.
Yeah. A
And
packed theater, especially.
packed theater.
Yeah.
But now with the distribution model and the way the money flows, and I may be wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong. But however that model has changed, really what you're paying for at the movie theater, all the money really is made at the counter. The
Mhm.
popcorn, the Cokes,
popcorn and the
and the
Cokes, yeah.
candy. And like, to 2, 3, 4 people max going to the movie, you spend $100.
Yeah.
And so where I used to pay, I'm paying for that experience. Well, now I'm
Mhm.
paying for the candy.
Yeah.
I just wonder how that'll shake out with human psyche. Like, do you guys talk about that in the
Yeah, I
industry?
mean, I think this is all part of the problem. It's like, it's not the same experience because the times I have gone to the movies, which we do go not that often, but we try to go as much as we can. And like, there's 10 people in the theater. sometimes you get to one that's bad, but it's not the same experience. And
Yeah.
then you're in there and people are talking. People are on their phone.
The phone light and things. Yeah.
All this, and it's not the same. It's just not the same thing. But if you do get to one that's packed, there is when Barbie came in, Barbie
Yes.
and Oppenheimer came out at the same time, and all of a sudden everyone's like, you got to go to the movies. All of a sudden it was this great thing again.
Yeah.
And it was this weird thing that happened, and everybody went to see those movies. Hopefully it'll come back to life. But I mean, I think the amount of money you can make as a producer, as a filmmaker, it's kind of like what's happened in music. Like, we knew it was going to finally hit us someday. It took like maybe 20 years longer than it took in the music business. But, it used to be if you had a television show that was a big hit and you were able to do it for 5 seasons and make 100 episodes of it, you could literally make tens of millions of dollars. And I know that because I saw the check. My attorney this was 20 years ago, my attorney and I went out to lunch, and he had just given a check to one of his clients who had made an extreme, I'm not going to say it 'cause
Right.
it's not fair to say
Right.
about the person, but an extremely successful television show. And they were on their 7th season of shooting it. And they had licensed the first 3 seasons only in syndication, which barely I don't even think it exists anymore. And he had a partner. His check was $50 million for the first 3 seasons.
Wow.
And the lawyer was like, I gave him a check. He asked me, what do you think this check was for? I'm like, $1 million? Like, I didn't know what you could, I was still really young in the business. He's like, $50 million. So that gentleman probably made at least $150 million off that show.
Yeah.
Not a chance in hell anymore.
Wow.
Never.
That's a dramatic
There's
shift.
not a chance in the world you can make that on TV. Shows don't even run that long.
Yeah.
Part of why Netflix doesn't do shows longer than 3 years, my understanding at least of this, is that, when you have a successful TV show, it used to be you'd pay your actors a reasonable amount, but nothing special for the first couple of years. But as soon as you hit the 3rd year, it meant the show was a big success, and the people making the movie were going to make $150 million. So it was like time to pay the actors. So you had to renegotiate their deals. No one's going to renegotiate a deal anymore because they're like, well, we're not going to be able to make this kind of money off the show. So they just kill it, and because everybody wants to start making big money after a certain period of time. So it's just a very strange new world out there.
So now we extend that to the actors and the actresses and AI.
Mm-hmm.
And so so what do you think that this shift goes all the way to, what's the word I want to use? Fake but AI generated actors, actresses.
Mm-hmm.
Do we think AI will be able to generate, spontaneous human emotion, crying?
Have you seen the Tilly Norwood?
I have not.
Have you seen this? Okay. So you'll have to, after the podcast, check out the name Tilly Norwood.
Yep.
She's like,
oh, I think I just saw this. Yes.
Yeah. This just came out. I think it was last week. There's a company, Perspective 6 or something. I don't know the exact name of the company. They released like sort of the first AI actress, this pretty young woman.
Yep.
And acting. And they have this whole short about how they created it. And so it's very funny. And part of it is like, well, do you think she can cry on, there's some English show. It's an English company. So she's English on this guy's show. Cause I guess people go on and they probably cry. It's like you interviewing, I know you're going to make me cry at some point. So, and then they cut to her and she's in the seat crying. And it's like, you have no idea it's not a real person.
And we just started, right? I mean,
and it's just like they're like the first one. And then there's, I don't know if it's rumor or what, there's a lot of talk that agencies are talking to them about wanting to represent her. That may be all BS. I don't know for sure yet, but it's like you watch this whole thing, it's a like 2.5 minute short. The whole thing is AI generated, a ton of different AI actors. It's completely possible. So where it goes, it can be, I believe there will be a movie made with completely AI actors that will have emotion. I still believe that there's going to be people behind it that know how to make that happen. There'll probably even be actors who are helping make sure that, working with directors about how the emotion should happen. But there's going to be weird things happening that we've never seen before. There's no question. Can we stop it? There's no stopping it.
Right.
I mean, we'd
It's-
the unions, we'd all love, like, I'd love to be able to say, none of you can't do that. It's going to get done. It's happening.
Fascinating.
It's happening.
Yeah, the curve is just, it's exponential at this
Yeah.
point, right? The cat's out of the bag.
Yeah. But I thought you were asking because you knew that existed, but it's fascinating because
Yeah, I'd forgotten
it
that
is
until you
out.
said that. Yes.
It is, it's out. It's out there. Yeah. It's amazing.
So this has flown by. We're to the end here where we're going to
Oh,
get
really?
to rapid
Wow.
fire
That was
questions.
fast.
It's very fast.
Yeah.
So I have 4 rapid fires.
Okay.
Now, sometimes these are one word, sometimes these are multiple sentences. So you
Okay.
take it wherever you wish.
Okay.
Any part of any aspect of your life, any industry you've been involved in.
Okay.
So what is one thing in your industry that you think people should stop doing?
Drugs.
That's awesome. That's a new one.
Yeah.
That's a great one. That's pretty much, that's it.
I don't know if that's
That's a
I don't
wrap.
know if that's the best answer. I probably should have said AI. We should go back and let me say AI.
I love both answers.
Yeah.
That was powerful. That was powerful.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
I
Actually,
just
for
don't
just
think
a quick.
I just don't think it helps anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think is the driver in that? Is it like imposter syndrome? Everybody has imposter syndrome at some point in their life.
Same. I think it's the
Like-
same it's not just in our business. Just our business seemed to be, it's not that even that it's that prevalent. It's just, we all work so hard.
Yeah.
And it puts a lot of stress on people's lives. But
Yeah.
I've just seen, like, I was doing something recently and there was just like I didn't realize how much was still out there.
Yeah.
Because it's not something that I do at all. So,
Yeah.
but then I was like, oh my goodness, they're doing it. Oh boy, don't do that.
What is
That's the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah, I love it. That's why the rapid fire, right?
Yeah. I surprised myself with that answer,
It's
to be
awesome.
honest.
So what is one thing, a process or a habit that you think leads to the best ability? So one thing, process or habit that leads to the best ability to disrupt yourself, like disrupt or innovate yourself.
The best habit, did you say?
Yeah. Like, if I wanted to change something about myself and I was struggling to do it, like, what would you say? Try this.
The honesty. Like being willing to say to yourself, like, this truly is a thing.
Yeah.
And I truly need to address it.
Yeah.
Because I think that's been when you finally look at yourself and go, like, this is real, pal.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing.
If you could solve one problem in the world,
Mm-hmm.
anything in the world with innovation, what would it be?
Divisiveness.
What could we do? What do you think we do better?
Wow. If I could innovate social media so that it wasn't so hateful.
Yeah.
And find a way to tell people that, like this isn't the place to vent and if there was a way to innovate it so it wasn't so hateful. You could turn the hate into something different because it's a scourge.
Yeah, it's redlining.
Yeah. I mean, it really is. And anything next door, Facebook, you go into the comments, you go 3 comments in and all of a sudden somebody's saying something, you're like, oh God, no. You're just like, really? We have to go here. And then it's just, then people like, "Wah," and you feel people just breaking apart.
Yeah.
We never used to have that. And I mean, maybe that's how people feel and maybe that's just our nature, but it's like, that's what I would love to see fixed.
We touched on this topic this year at Rally,
Mm-hmm.
and I think about this topic all the time. I love that you brought that up. And I mean, it literally breaks my heart just seeing some of this stuff happen right on social media.
Mm-hmm.
And I fear one of the lines I used in the opening at Rally was, our kids carry supercomputers in their pockets before they carry car keys.
And they're more dangerous.
And they're more dangerous.
Yeah.
And how I think this might be a bigger problem than we even pretend or even talk about on the surface level. But like, it's dehumanizing. It's creating disconnection,
Mm-hmm.
the inability to relate to one another. I think it could be one of the biggest powerful forces behind a lot of the stuff we're seeing with mental health.
Well, it's allowing people to take advantage of it that
Yeah.
wish to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. In all kinds of different places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's something you want to share with folks we haven't talked about today? Something you're super passionate about, or you want to make sure the audience knows about you
Oh,
or about anything?
well, if anybody needs a foursome, needs a fourth at Riviera, I'm available.
I love it.
I've been working a long, long time, and I'm looking forward to it. We're hoping to get Big Little Lies season 3 rolling next season, and I'll go off and do that. But it's been fun to take a little bit of time off. But yeah, I don't know. I just It's
For those who haven't seen Big Little Lies yet, how do they go find it?
how do they go find Big Little Lies? I think you'd be able to find it on. It's called HBO Max now. I think, is it HBO Max?
HBO
Yeah,
Max?
it was Max. It was HBO. It's HBO Max. You can find it on HBO Max.
Awesome.
Yeah,
All right. So
both the
for
first 2 seasons.
all those listeners out there, if you haven't
Yeah.
seen it, go track down Big Little Lies on
Yeah.
HBO Max.
Yeah.
Make sure you get caught up before season 3 comes out. When
Yeah,
will
that'll
that
be
launch?
season 3 will hopefully we'll shoot it next year. That's
Okay.
the plan sometime, and then it'll be posted, and hopefully it'll probably shoot over sometime late next year into the following year. So it'll probably come out either late in 27 or early 28. So it's a ways off because it takes us a while to put it together.
Yeah.
And we have all the people who are involved, all the stars. They all have schedules that have to align. So we're working on that right now.
Is there anything else you're working on while you're doing this?
That's the main thing. I've got some other things in the hopper. I'm cooking up, but those are all, as they say, in development.
Any teasers?
Oh,
No teasers yet.
no, they're all in development. I'll tease them when they're real.
I love
Yeah,
it. That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Well, Greg, this has been fascinating. I've learned
Thank
a ton
you.
about your industry,
Yeah,
and
thanks.
I think I think the whole creative economy and how film fits into that is, I just think, fascinating. And
Yeah.
so, congratulations, you're a superstar in your industry, and it's been an honor to get to know you and to call
Thank
you my
you.
friend.
Yeah,
Right?
thanks. Likewise.
Over the last year-ish, I think,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah, about a year.
So thanks for coming by.
I'm really thrilled to be here. It's really fun.
All right.
Yeah,
Until
love your
next time.
podcast. Yeah,
Thank you so much.
yeah.
Until next time, we'll see y'all soon on Innovate or Evaporate.
This episode was brought to you by Rally, the Global Cross-Sector Innovation Conference. Learn more at rallyinnovation.com.